All right, today's gospel reading is from Luke chapter 12, verses 32 through 40. As always, I'll be doing the explanation according to the blessed Theophylact, who is an archbishop from the Ohrid region of Bulgaria from the 11th century. Verses 32 through 34. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell that ye have, and give alms. Make for yourselves purses which grow not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth destroyeth. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. The explanation here. To all those who want to become his disciples, the Lord gives the name little flock, either because in this world the saints are small and insignificant on account of their voluntary poverty and lack of possessions, or because they are fewer in number than the host of the angels, who are beyond count and beyond compare, more excellent than we. That the angels exceed us in number is clear from the Lord's parable concerning the shepherd who rejoices more in the one which was lost and then found than in the 90 and 9 which were not lost. You see this in Matthew 18, verses 12 through 14. The Lord showed that in this parable that just as the one is to the 99, so too is the human race when compared to the angelic host. Fear not, little flock, he says, meaning, do not doubt that God will provide for you, even if you take no anxious thought of yourselves. Why? Because it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Since he is giving you the kingdom, how much more will he give the things you need on earth? Therefore, have faith that if you willingly follow a life of poverty, you will not lack a provider. Sell your possessions, give alms, and thereby lay up yourselves an unfailing treasure. Then the Lord convinces us with irrefutable arguments. Here, he says, there are moths which destroy us, but it is not so in heaven. Is it not foolish to store up treasure in a place where there is decay? But moths cannot destroy gold. And so he adds, where no thief approacheth. Though gold cannot be eaten by moths, it can be stolen by thieves. Even so, not everyone suffers loss at the hands of thieves, and therefore he adds the most invincible argument of all. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Let us suppose that he says that no moth destroys, nor thief approaches. Nevertheless, does not a far worse loss occur when your heart is fastened to treasure which you have buried deep in the ground? Then that divine thing, your soul, is buried alive in the earth. Does this not deserve the greatest punishment? In fact, if one thinks about it, does not this very deed constitute in and of itself the greatest punishment? Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. If your treasure is buried in the earth, then your heart will be buried in earth. If your treasure is in heaven, there on high will your heart be. Therefore, who would not want to be lifted up on high rather than remain below the earth? Who would not prefer to be an angel instead of a mole crawling through the tunnels? Verses 35 through 40. Let your loins be girded about and your lamps burning, and ye yourselves like unto men that wait for their Lord, when he will return from the wedding, that when he cometh and knocketh, they may open unto him immediately. Blessed are those servants whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily, I say unto you, that he shall gird himself and make them to recline at table, and will come forth and serve them. And if he shall come in the second watch, or come in the third watch, and find them so, blessed are those servants. And this know, that if the householder had known what the hour the thief would come, he would have watched, and not have suffered his house to be broken in. Be ye therefore ready also, for the Son of Man cometh at an hour when ye think not. And the explanation here, the Lord has first freed his disciple of all that superfluous, and has stripped him of all anxious thought and agitation concerning physical life, thus making him light and free. Now he makes that disciple his servant. A man who wants to serve must be unencumbered and free of impediment, which is why the Lord says, let your loins be girded, i.e., hitch up your tunic with a belt so that you are able to work without interference from your loose garment. which means always be ready to do the work of your master, and have your lamps burning, which means do not live in darkness without discernment, but let the light of the Logos always show you what you should and should not do. The night is this world. Those who have girded their loins are those who are engaged in active virtue. This is how laborers at work appear, and they must also have their lamps lit, for the gift of discernment must accompany action by so that the man who is active in virtue cannot only do what to do, not only know what to do, but also be able to see that so that he can do it. For there are many who have set about to do good, but have done it poorly. They have girded their loins for action, but did not have their lamps lit. That is, they lacked discernment because they did not have the light of the Logos within them, and thus fell into arrogance or some other foolish pitfall. You should understand this as well, that we first gird our loins and then see that our lamps are lit. First comes active virtue, and then comes divine vision, which is the enlightenment of the mind. The lamp represents our mind, which we can say is burning that when it has the light of God shining in it. Let us strive, therefore, to practice virtue, that we may have our two lamps burning, the word within always illuminating the soul, and the spoken word shining forth from the mouth. Compare the words of the Troparion of St. John Chrysostom. Grace shining forth from thy mouth like a beacon hath illumined the universe. The one is a lamp shining within us, and the other is a lamp of speech and teaching shining outwardly for others. Let us be like men waiting for their Lord to return from the wedding. Who is this Lord if not Jesus Christ? He took human nature as his bride and united her to himself, wedding her and cleaving to her, becoming one flesh. Indeed, he did not make just one wedding, but many. The Greek word for wedding, ton gamon, in verse 36 is a plural form, perhaps referring literally to the many days of feasting that were, and in some places still are, the custom. For every day the Lord in heaven is wedded to the souls of the saints, which the Apostle Paul, or those who come after Paul, present to him as pure virgins. St. Paul writes, For I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Christ, as he says in 2 Corinthians 11:2. The Lord returns from the weddings in heaven. That is, he returns universally, once and for all, at the end of the world when he will come from heaven in the glory of the Father. He also returns at every hour when he comes unseen and unexpectedly at the end of each man's life. Blessed is he, therefore, whom the Lord shall find with loins girded and with lamp lit, that is, ready to serve God by fulfilling the commandments of Christ concerning action, and with his mind illuminated by the lamp of the word and of discernment. Such a man not only does good, but does it well. He receives nothing less than divine vision, as if he had been given a lamp. It is by girding our loins that the burning lamp of divine vision is given to us, rather the two lamps, the one inner and the other of the speech. To such a servant, therefore, the Lord himself comes as servant. He shall gird himself, he says, and make them to recline at table, and will come forth and serve them. God girds and binds himself in that he does not let flow all his abundance of good things on us at once, but restrains that outpouring. For who can contain all of God, as great as he is? This is made clear by the seraphim, who must cover themselves because of the exceeding brightness of the divine light. As you can see in Isaiah 6:2, he makes his good servants to recline, granting them complete rest, just as one who reclines rests his whole body, so also at the second coming will the saints find complete rest. That here in this life they find no ease for the body, but there, when their spiritual and divine bodies will have inherited incorruption together with their souls, they will enjoy complete rest, and God will be for them all in all. You see in 1 Corinthians 15:28. He will serve the worthy and reward them in equal measure, just as they served him. He himself will serve them and set before them a bountiful table, bestowing on them the delight of spiritual gifts. The second and third watch you may understand to mean the different periods of our life. For example, I might say that a man who is awake at the second and third watch seems to be the most vigilant, for it is during these hours of the night that the first and deepest period of sleep occurs. Likewise, you may understand that in the various circumstances of our life, there are particular times at which, if we are found to be awake and vigilant, we are blessed. Has someone stolen your goods? Have your children died? Have you been slandered? If at these times if you do not fall, but your God and Master finds you awake, and you have not been moved to do something that is outside of the path of his commandments, then you are blessed indeed. For he has found you awake at the second and third watches, that is, at times of terrible tribulations, which induce in a lax soul a death-like slumber and fall. Therefore we must be awake and vigilant, for we are like a householder from whom, if he is awake, the thief cannot steal his goods. But if he is asleep, the thief will take everything and be gone. Some have understood the thief here to mean the devil, which as the house is the soul and the householder is the man. But if that it seems that this interpretation is not consistent with the sequence of thought. Here, the coming of Christ is likened to a thief because it is unexpected. As one of the apostles says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in 2 Peter 3:10. And here, in the passage at hand, see how the Lord explains for us who is the thief. He says, be ye therefore watchful, for the Son of Man cometh at the hour when ye think not. Some say that those who are awake at the first watch represent those who are the most diligent of all. Those who are awake at the second hour are those who are somewhat less diligent, and those who are awake at the third watch are those who are still less diligent. Others have explained the watches as different ages of a man's life. In the first watch, we are youths. In the second watch, we are men. And in the third watch, we are old men. Blessed is he, at whatever age he may be, who is found awake and diligent in doing good.